What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Arrival Entertainment. So 2022 is officially over with, and that means it's time once again to do my list for my favorite films of the year. But not only is it a top 10 list, I pushed it to a top 15 list this year. I think last year I did 15 movies as well, but I did 15 this year because it, well, kind of goes without saying, I enjoyed quite a bit of movies this year that I didn't feel right leaving off of my list. And it also goes without saying that you're not going to agree with everything on this list. In fact, there's one movie in particular I know a lot of people are not going to agree with on this list, but that's why this video is called My Favorite Movies of the Year, not the best movies of the year like what a lot of other people call it. These are just the movies that I enjoyed the most this year and I wanted to put on my favorite movies of the year list. So just like every year, let me know in the comment section your favorite movie of the year. Let me know in the comment section your top 5, top 10 favorite movie. Whatever you feel like leaving in the comment section, go ahead and do that. So without further ado, let's get through some honorable mentions and then we'll get started with the list. My honorable mentions this year are DC League of the Super Pets, Ambulance, Breaking, Pearl, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Fall, and The Black Phone. I had a great time with all those movies. I didn't do individual reviews for all of them, but that's a different story for a different time. They just didn't make my list. So now that that's out of the way, let's start with the actual list. Starting off my list at number 15 is X. I had a really great time with X. It's a dark and twisted horror film from A24. A24 does really good with horror films, and I like the fact that this movie spawned a prequel, Pearl, that was also really good, and now we're getting another one called Maxine, I think. I believe that's what it's called. So I like the fact that A24 is now continuing like sequels and starting a franchise and stuff like that to this little movie called X that no one expected really anything of it. It had great performances. This was the year of Jenna Ortega. She's been killing it this year, so I'm really excited to see what she does next. And I like the fact that this movie is a better Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie than the actual Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie we got. I mean, this movie X feels like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, only without a chainsaw and without Leatherface. But X was a really enjoyable twisted horror film. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out, and check out Pearl, because Pearl, even though Pearl didn't make my list, I had a really great time with that film too. At number 14, like I said, 2022 was the year for Jenna Ortega, and Scream, or Scream 5, whatever you want to call it, had to make my list. I'm a big fan of the Scream franchise, and I was nervous about Scream 5 because it was coming out in January. It was a sequel that you could argue people didn't really want to see. Even though I'm a huge fan of the Scream franchise, I was like, do we really need a Scream 5? Wes Craven has passed away. I don't know how I feel about it, more filmmakers or different filmmakers taking over the Scream franchise, but man, was I proven wrong. I loved Scream 5. I've seen it a couple times after seeing it in theaters twice, and each time I've watched it, I've enjoyed it more and more. I love the new characters. I love the legacy characters. I like the cameo character. If you don't, I'm not going to spoil it just in case you haven't seen it yet. And yeah, I'm really excited that they're doing another Scream movie in just a few months. I think that's really cool that they're doing another one not even a full year. Well, no, it has been a full year after this one came out. That just shows how successful this film was. But yeah, Scream 5 was a ton of fun. Didn't expect anything of it, and it ended up being one of my favorite films of the year. At number 13, I probably shouldn't have put this movie on the list, but screw it. I don't care. It's my list. I had such an amazing time with Jackass Forever. I saw this movie 3 or 4 times in the theater, and I've seen it probably another 3 or 4 times on Blu-ray since it came out. I am a gigantic fan of Jackass. It's the perfect type of entertainment for me where it's like, I don't need to pay attention to it. There's no substance to it. It's junk food for your mind, sure, but god damn, is it so entertaining. And another situation similar to Scream, I didn't know how to feel about a 4th Jackass movie. They're much older now. They're pushing 50. Bam Margera and his family and CKY, they weren't involved with this movie. So I didn't know what was gonna be like of Jackass Forever, but they got some talented new people behind the camera and in front of the camera, and it ended up being just as funny as the previous films and the TV show. It's a dumb, stupid, entertaining movie that I had a blast with in the theater. Each time I saw it, more and more people were just enjoying themselves at the theater, and I'm really glad the movie was successful. So yeah, I probably could have gotten away with not putting this on my list, but I'm such a big fan of these movies, I had to put it on the list. At number 12 is Everything Everywhere All at Once, the movie that everyone talked about this year. The movie did really well financially. People who don't normally see movies saw this movie and enjoyed the hell out of it. And I was late to seeing the movie. That's why I didn't review it. I didn't get a chance to review it. But yeah, I agree with what everyone says. This was interesting. This was a very interesting movie. The idea of a multiverse isn't a new concept. People have explored that before. We know Marvel's exploring that now. But it's how this movie did it that I think people really responded to it well. And this movie did it in a very bonkers way. There's stuff in this movie that on paper sounds really, really stupid, but in execution of the movie, it worked really well, and it was very, very entertaining. A24 did a lot of stuff this year, and I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is their best film that they did this year. I haven't seen The Whale. I know a lot of people are talking about that, but I haven't had a chance to see that yet. So out of the ones that I've seen this year, Everything Everywhere All at Once definitely takes the cake. Next at number 11 is the movie that I know nobody is going to agree with me on this one, but I don't care. It's my list. I had a really great time with Lightyear. I really don't understand why people hate this movie as much as they do. I can understand if, you just don't care for it and, it's not as good as the previous Toy Story movies. And yeah, it's not as good as the previous Toy Story movies, but man, did people tear this movie apart. And I don't fully understand why. I just don't know if I'm not seeing something that other people are seeing, but I had a lot of fun with this movie. I liked Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear, and I think it's kind of stupid that people are criticizing this movie. I've seen people criticize this movie just because Tim Allen doesn't voice Buzz Lightyear. Chris Evans, I think, did a terrific job, and there were even times where he sounded just like Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear. I thought the action was really good. I thought the film really looked good. The twist in the movie, I can understand people not liking, because it is a pretty... How do I say this? It goes completely different than what we thought we were going to get with said twist. So I can understand people not liking that. It is something very different, and it does pull the rug out from under you for what we know of the character of Buzz Lightyear thus far. But I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I had a great time with the film. I've watched it on Blu-ray since then, and I still really enjoy the film. So yeah, I don't know if I'm just stupid or if I just have different tastes than people, but I had a great time with Lightyear, and I wanted to say I'm hoping they go ahead with the sequel, but the fact that this movie really didn't do well at the box office, I don't know if we're going to get a sequel. But if we don't, at least for me, I still have this film, and again, I really liked it. And starting the top 10 is the most recent film that I saw on this list, and that's Avatar: The Way of Water. So when it comes to Avatar, the first Avatar movie, I used to really not care for it. I thought it was overrated as hell. I didn't get the hype behind it, but then I saw the film again earlier this year when it was re-released in 3D, and I've grown to really enjoy the film more than I ever have. So it got me more excited for Avatar: The Way of Water, and yeah, all the hype that has been surrounding Avatar: The Way of Water is definitely present here in the movie. The main story of the movie is nothing spectacular, nothing new or innovative with that, but it's the experience on why people are loving this movie so much, and it is a breathtaking experience. Go see it in IMAX 3D. That's the best way to watch it. And I did enjoy this movie a lot more than the first one. I thought it had great character moments. I thought it had better action than the first one. In fact, it had more action than the first one, which is something that surprised me. And yeah, I can't get over, just like everyone else, I can't get over how beautiful this movie looks and how visually spectacular it looks. I didn't think that they were going to be able to top the first one with visual effects because, when we've had so many CGI related movies, it's hard to be new and innovative with it. But who am I to doubt James Cameron anymore? Writer and director James Cameron, I trust that man so much. I didn't think he could be more innovative with visual effects, but here we are talking about Avatar: Way of the Water. Or The Way of Water. The Way of Water. The film proved me wrong, and I'm glad it proved me wrong. Next at number 9 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I did an individual review for this one, so if you want to know more in-depth thoughts on this movie, then go check that out. But The best Pinocchio movie we got this year. Apparently we got 3. I don't know what the third one was. I know one of them was Disney's live action one, which I'm not even going to waste my time with that one. And then there was this one and then another one, but I don't know what the other one was. But since I don't know what the other one was, obviously the best one is Guillermo del Toro's version. The stop motion animation was gorgeous. I liked how the film was dark and twisted. It took some risks. It was faithful to the story, at least from my understanding it is. A great voiceover cast, great music in the film. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is a film that I think deserves a lot more than just be a Netflix film. I know it was in theaters for a little bit, but I don't know. I think it should have been in theaters a lot longer. That's just my opinion. Either way, it's a great movie, and if you haven't checked it out by now, definitely go on Netflix and check it out. At number 8 is Jordan Peele's new movie, Nope. This movie was nuts, man. This movie was very weird, very ambitious for Jordan Peele, and yeah, it hooked me from beginning to end. I think the scope of this movie was more than enough to suck me into it. I was a big fan of Jordan Peele's directed movies before I saw this. I really liked Get Out and I really liked Us. So seeing the trailers for Nope, I said to myself, wow, this is going to be his biggest movie yet, and it absolutely was. And I like how he took inspiration from Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Jaws, mixing it in with this weird UFO story. I don't even know if you could call it a UFO. That's another thing I like about this movie. You don't really know what to make of what happens in this movie at face value, and I like how Jordan Peele plays with the audience a little bit with that. You don't really quite know what's going on. It takes time and, placing the right puzzle pieces together to finally figure out what's going on, and I totally respect a filmmaker that does that. I have to revisit Nope pretty soon. I only saw it once in theaters, but man, the film has stuck with me ever since I saw it. At number 7 is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the other multiverse movie we got this year, and the one that I had the most fun with, and not just because it's a Marvel movie, and I'm a Marvel fan, but because it's Sam Raimi directing it. I think that's what drew a lot of film fans into this film, was the fact that Sam Raimi was directing, number 1, another Marvel movie, and number 2, a horror movie. This movie is technically a horror movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It has its Marvel tropes, of course, but with Sam Raimi's horror touch to it, it earns its PG-13 rating. I heard a lot of people say, oh my gosh, this movie should be rated R, it's so bloody and gory, and I'm like, not really. I mean, it's got some shocking death in it, and there's some blood in it, sure, but do people not pay attention to ratings anymore? Nowadays, people see PG-13 as you say one dirty word or something like that. It's like, no, watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That's more PG-13 than Thor: Love and Thunder was. I don't know why that shit was PG-13. That should have been G. I liked what Sam Raimi did with this film, and I liked the direction it took for not only Doctor Strange, but for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm curious to see how they develop this multiverse story that they're doing in later films, and hopefully it's good. I mean, if it's anything like Thor: Love and Thunder, then Marvel might be in trouble, but I trust what Kevin Feige does for the most part. So I had a great time with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I'm curious to see how they're going to develop what they set up in this film. At number 6 is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. This movie was so fun. This is probably the most fun movie that I've seen this year. I mean, there's obviously the films higher are fun in a different way, but in just pure fun, entertainment, it's definitely The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. A movie where Nicolas Cage plays Nicolas Cage, an exaggerated version of Nicolas Cage. A buddy movie with him and Pedro Pascal, with this weird crime plot, whatever you want to call it, but the fact that it doesn't take itself seriously was just genius. I loved seeing Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal interact with each other. They had amazing chemistry in the movie. I would love to see them do more movies together, either more comedies or just more movies in general. I mean, they worked really well off of each other. The movie was really funny. Like I said, the CIA crime plot, whatever you want to call it, was bizarre, but it worked for this story. And I'm a little disappointed that this movie didn't do well financially. I was pretty surprised with that, considering I saw a lot of people just really, really excited when they saw the trailers for this. But I mean, for the people who didn't see this movie, I mean, it's their loss. This movie was such a fun movie. And again, I've seen it a couple times since I saw it in theaters, and it definitely cemented its spot on this list for me. At number 5 is The Northmen. This was such a beast of a movie from Robert Eggers. I love calling it a beast of a movie because this movie's a beast. Robert Eggers has impressed me with everything he has done. This is probably his most mainstream movie. It's his first movie without A24, but man, he still got it behind the camera. This movie was epic. It had a great cast. It had great visuals. The score was really good. This movie has everything you would want from a Viking tale told in this time period by this director. It's got some weird trippy imagery too, but it doesn't detract from the rest of the film, and for me at least, it didn't take me out of the film. So yeah, please go check out The Northmen. It's a movie that really deserves to be seen, and it deserves to be seen in the best quality possible. So definitely seek out The Northmen and just give it a chance. It's one hell of a movie. Next at number 4 is Elvis. I was so looking forward to this movie when I saw it, and Austin Butler really didn't disappoint. In fact, everyone in this film didn't disappoint. I love Baz Luhrmann's direction of it. I love Tom Hanks as Colonel Parker, and yeah, Austin Butler himself really killed it as Elvis Presley. I love the energy that this movie had. I love the style of this movie. The modern updates of song choices in this film didn't fully sit well with me. It took me out of the film for like a couple seconds, but thankfully it was only in the beginning of the movie, and if it was throughout the rest of the movie, then I probably would have had more problems with this movie. But as a big fan of Elvis Presley, I thought they did a really great job handling this film. Baz Luhrmann was the best director to make this film, and after seeing Austin Butler as Elvis, I can't really picture anyone else playing Elvis in this film. So yeah, I mean, Elvis was another one that I saw multiple times in the theater, and I've seen multiple times since it came out on Blu-ray, so yeah, I had a great time with it. It's one of the better musical biopics that we've had in recent memory. At number 3 is Glass Onion, another film that I just saw again recently. I saw it in theaters when it was playing in theaters for a week, and I'm so glad I saw it in theaters. This is a movie that, again, I think deserves to be more than just a Netflix film. So I'm glad that at least for a week I was able to see it in theaters. But I had such a great time with it. I don't know if it's better for me than the first Knives Out movie. To me, they're both kind of equal. I loved both of them equally. I love the character of Blanc, played by Daniel Craig. I love the new characters in this film, and something that I was curious about, I rewatched it on Netflix with my parents when it premiered on December 23rd. And I was curious on how the rewatchability factor of it was going to be, because I know with the first movie, Knives Out, a lot of people were like, it didn't have that watchability factor that I was hoping for. I mean, for me it did, but for a lot of people it didn't. So I was wondering if the same thing was going to happen with Glass Onion, and it really didn't. The movie, in my opinion, had a really great rewatchability factor. And I think that has to do with the fact that this movie starts itself out as, you know what the mystery is going to be, but then it pulls the rug out from under you, and you're following something that you didn't know you were going to follow. So going back to the movie, rewatching it, you're able to pick up little clues here and there sprinkled out that the movie eventually reveals to you, and you're like, oh, that's why I could see that happening. I saw that happening that he mentioned later in the film. So it did have that rewatchability factor, at least for me. And Rian Johnson, I think, killed it again with another film. I'm such a big fan of his. I'm curious to see Knives Out 3, Knives Out 4, however many he plans to do. And side note, I'm still excited to see his Star Wars trilogy. So anything Rian Johnson is doing, I've got my eyes set on right now, because Glass Onion was such a great film. At number 2, my runner-up for the year is the best comic book movie of the year for me, and that is The Batman. Oh man, Batman, you guys know Batman is my character. He is my favorite comic book character. So whenever they do a new adaptation of Batman, I'm cautiously curious, because I want to see this character done with respect. I don't want to see another Batman Forever and Batman and Robin movie. And I was skeptical, but pretty excited at the same time to see what Robert Pattinson was going to do as Batman, and he killed it. He knocked it out of the park as Batman. He's not my favorite on-screen Batman, but he's one of the best. I like this version of Gotham. I like how dingy and dirty and dark and mysterious it is. I love how they use shadows in the film to indicate if Batman is there or if he's not there. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It was well handled incredibly. And I like the casting of all these new characters. It was all casted very well. I am pretty disappointed that we're not going to see Ben Affleck as Batman anymore, but I think Batman is in good hands with Robert Pattinson and with Matt Reeves doing another Batman film. At least I'm pretty sure he's still doing his Batman film. I mean, they did confirm a trilogy when everything with DC and James Gunn. I'm not going to even get into that right now because it's a totally messy situation. But from my understanding, it sounds like we're still going to get more from this Batman universe. And I hope we get more of this Batman universe because I did not expect The Batman to turn out to be my favorite Batman movie. That might change, but it's still, after doing my ranking video, it's still my new favorite Batman movie. So yeah, The Batman. And at number 1, my favorite movie of the year, Top Gun Maverick. God damn, is this movie so good. I did not expect this movie to be as good as it was. I was hoping it would be just good. I didn't expect this movie to be phenomenally good. Because like everyone else, I had the same thought. It's a sequel like 30 plus years after the original. Why would they do a sequel now? But after seeing it, you can see why they waited this long to do a sequel. I mean, they had a story to tell. It's not just nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. There are winks and nods and, you know, things that you're like, oh, I remember that from the original Top Gun, and they're doing it here. But it does what it's supposed to do. It doesn't detract from the rest of the story that it's trying to tell. It's there to do fan service properly. In fact, this movie, I stand by, is how you do the right amount of fan service without it being too much in your face, and just overall how you do a legacy sequel properly. Because legacy sequels are becoming more and more popular, and we've seen that there's been some legacy sequels that just do it completely terrible. But Top Gun Maverick found the perfect way of doing it, in my opinion. What Tom Cruise and his crew did for this movie and the past Mission Impossible movies, they found a great formula for keeping audiences entertained, and the box office really proves that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that this movie is the highest grossing movie of the year. I'm not sure if Avatar beat that yet, but Top Gun Maverick it surprised a lot of people with how well it did financially, myself included. And yeah, I've seen it again multiple times since theaters, and I just love this movie so much. It gave me everything I hoped for. It was emotional, it was funny, it was action-packed, it was visually spectacular. I don't like using the word perfect, but this, for me, is as perfect of a movie and a sequel as you can get. So yeah, if you're still waiting to see Top Gun Maverick, do yourself a favor and just watch it. You're not going to be disappointed with it, I promise you. So guys, that is it. That is my list for my top favorite movies of the year 2022. Just like always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on these films down in the comment section below, and leave me your list of your favorite movies, or if you don't have a list, just list off some of your favorite movies that you've seen this year. So whatever your thoughts on everything is, let me know in the comments section. And just like always, guys, thank you again so much for watching. I have a least favorite movies of the year video planned, so look forward to that very soon. Again, thank you guys, and thank you for another fun year of YouTube in 2022. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like and share it. Subscribe right here if you haven't already, and until next time, guys, take care.